Hi, welcome to the Gold Star explanation video. Today I want to walk you through what Gold Star is all about, why I'm doing things a bit differently, and why this approach leads to a better outcome without breaking the bank. Let's start with why I'm doing things a bit differently. I'm not actually doing it differently just for the sake of being different. I'm doing this differently because I've found a much superior way to achieve a higher end result for your house. The building code requires us to meet certain energy efficiency standards. The way to do this is to comply with the performance requirements of the building code. Now, typically this is done in a way that most people are familiar with, which is called a star rating report, where you need to get 6-7 stars to achieve compliance. Another way is a prescriptive method out of the building code, which is commonly called the deemed to satisfy method. This method is basically a list of insulation values and glazing calculations within the building code. As long as you meet those, you also meet compliance. The other way to do it, and this is the way that Gold Star is based on, is called a performance solution. I'll get into that a little bit later and explain why. Gold Star isn't just a report, it's a system of building performance. This goes beyond the standard compliance that you find in other methods. We do things like heat loads, air tightness strategies, ventilation strategies, site checklists, and all of these things guarantee that you're going to end up with a house that's safe, healthy, comfortable, durable, energy efficient in a very cost-effective way. Gold Star adopts a fabric-first approach, dealing with the building envelope and control layers. Now, the building envelope, essentially for most buildings, is the floor, the walls and the ceiling. The control layers are all related to this envelope. The envelope defines the difference between inside and outside, basically. So inside is conditioned, that's what we want to have heated and cooled. Outside is not. So outside is either outside, or it's in the roof or in the garage. Any space that is not conditioned is outside of the envelope. So when we look at our control layers, which are water, air, vapor and thermal, all of these relate to the envelope. It's all about understanding the science behind how to create a house that truly performs. So the main problem with our code here, or the way we do things, is we don't treat the house as a system. Treating energy efficiency in isolation can cause problems. We've found ever since we started insulating houses, we've decreased the energy flow in the house, which is great for energy efficiency, but decreasing that energy flow also decreases the drying capacity. So then we end up with more moisture problems. We can have moisture problems inside the walls or inside the roof, causing condensation and mold, or we can have condensation on the inside of the house. Now, if we treat this as a system and understand what we're doing, we can make sure that none of these problems occur. So energy efficiency in isolation is a problem. Energy efficiency as part of a system is a great idea, but you have to understand the system, and that's why Gold Star is a system that will deliver superior results. So over 15 years ago, when I was a bit frustrated, I thought I'd go and see what they were doing in Germany. I'd heard about the passive house approach and thought, is that something we can do here? I had a look, spoke to people at Passive House and discussed their method. I really liked their method, and at the time, in discussions with them, we decided that the build methods were different to ours, and it was just a little bit hard to implement straight away into the way we build things. So then I ended up going to the USA to find out what they did there. Now, they have a very similar approach to Passive House, which I liked. I also liked that they have very similar climatic conditions, not the same but similar, and very similar build methods. Again, not the same but similar. I found this was a lot easier to adapt into our system. So basically that's what Gold Star is. It's the American system built for Australia. Incidentally, that's what Passive House is as well. This whole system was developed in the 1970s in the USA, went to Canada for further development in the 80s. The Germans learnt all about it in the late 80s and started Passive House based on these same principles. They're the principles of building science, and it leads to a good, robust building that's very, very energy efficient, comfortable, healthy and durable. So the question is, why not just do Passive House? I've got nothing against Passive House. Do Passive House if you like. Well, what I'm trying to do is at an entry level, if you follow the Gold Star system far enough, you'll end up at Passive House level. It just depends on how far you want to go and how much you want to spend, but you can get there if you want. But what I'm wanting to do is make a very, very cost-effective way into building performance based on the fundamentals of how to do things right, how to put things together really well to get a really good outcome at a budget price. So why did I create a performance solution instead of just using the normal star rating report? Well, the main reason is external colours, shading and thermal bridging. The way the building code guides us at the moment with both the star rating reports and the deemed to satisfy provisions is it rewards, especially in my climate zone in Victoria, it rewards dark external colours, minimal shading. Now, in the way I do things, I don't like to reward that. This can lead to a lot of frustration for energy raters when they're trying to achieve a high star rating or even the minimal star rating and they're fighting a cooling load. You can end up getting a higher rating with a dark roof and no eaves, and as soon as you put an eave on to reduce your cooling load, you get a lower star rating. So if you improve the house to make it work well in the hotter months, you get a low star rating. It's endlessly frustrating and something that I try to avoid. I don't want to advise people to use less insulation in the walls and the roof if they have a dark roof colour. What I want to do is encourage higher R values for the insulation and more shading. Once you've got air tightness built into this as well, the more airtight the house is, the less energy is required. So you require less energy for your heating and cooling appliances, and also for the passive solar component, you actually need less passive solar input to get a good result. So what makes Gold Star better? Well, as I've mentioned, the other reports are just compliance reports. And because they're compliance reports, they don't actually have a site checklist to make sure that everything goes together properly on site. Gold Star does. We have a comprehensive checklist to make sure that everything all the way through is done to a standard. The other thing is, in the reports, as I alluded to before, with dark colours and a few other things, you can end up being led into spending money on things that really don't achieve a higher result, like insulating internal walls. That's something that I don't do unless it's for acoustic purposes. But what Gold Star does is make sure that every bit of money you spend goes towards something that makes a big difference. Probably the major part of Gold Star and the biggest benefit is addressing air leakage. We do this with an air tightness strategy. So in a nutshell, basically the more airtight your house is, the more energy you keep inside. Most of the time what we do in most houses is we have leaky houses, so in the winter all of the air that you heat leaks out and then that's replaced with air from outside which comes in. The air from outside that comes in is cold, so you heat that up. What you end up doing is continuously heating outside air all the time, or in the summer, continuously cooling outdoor air all the time. If you address the leakiness with an air tightness strategy, you end up controlling the air, keeping the air inside as much as possible, and therefore greatly reducing your energy bills. Ventilation goes hand in hand with air tightness. So it's very important when you have an air tightness strategy that you also have a ventilation strategy. In the Gold Star standard, we make sure that we apply ASHRAE standard 62.2, which is the American standard to calculate the size of the house, the amount of occupants in the house, and that prescribes a fresh air amount that's required. With that, we also prescribe a mechanical ventilation system to go in every house. A lot of people are concerned with the energy efficiency standards increasing, that it also increases the build cost. What we've done with Gold Star is ensure that every cent you spend on the house goes towards something that actually works. And because we engineer it this way, we make sure that the added build cost is very, very minimal. So you get a superior result for a budget price. In keeping it simple, that does not mean dumbing it down. Keeping it simple means we actually understand exactly what we're doing and we implement things in the best way possible to achieve a superior result. Gold Star ends up giving you a safe, healthy, comfortable, durable and energy efficient house in a very cost-effective way. So in conclusion, Gold Star is not just a different way, it's a better way. It's a way to ensure that you end up with the best outcome possible at a budget that you can afford. It's a way to produce a safe, healthy, durable, comfortable and energy efficient house. Thanks for watching the video. For more information, go online to my website at gorate.com.au.